Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated rules for Wyrmblade for the new edition of Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you think of the new Wyrmblade rules. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But yeah, I'm going over the new Wyrmblade rules as you can find on for free Warhammer community as well as the Kill Team app. So let's see my first White Dwarf / Kill Team annual Kill Team review. So let's get into it. So for your roster, you can still take Infiltration and Seek and Destroy. So that's unchanged. So very good archetypes for this Kill Team. Then you have a leader and 14 other operatives, which is pretty much unchanged. So your leader can either have an auto gun, a shotgun, or either a bolt pistol, mastercrafted auto pistol or web pistol, and then either a chainsword, power maul, or power pick. Then you can take 13 other operatives. So you've got a gunner with flamer, gunner with grenade launcher, gunner with webber, heavy gunner with heavy stubber, heavy gunner with mining laser, heavy gunner with seismic cannon, icon bearer with either an auto gun or shotgun. Then you've got a warrior with auto gun or shotgun. And then you can take cult agents. So you can either take the Kellamorph, the Locust, the Sanctus Sniper, or the Sanctus Talon. So the only restrictions when it comes to building your kill team is you can only have 2 gunners, up to 2 heavy gunners as well, and then up to 2 cult agents. And every time you take a cult agent, it counts as 2 selections. So if you took a cult agent, you'd then be able to select another 11 operatives instead of 13. And if you took a second cult agent, you'd be able to select 9 other operatives from your list. So unchanged there, completely the same. For faction rules, we've had quite the change. So you've got familiar territory. When setting up a Wyrmblade kill team before the battle, 1/3 of your kill team can be set up in hiding. Place them to one side instead of the kill zone. Cult agent operatives cannot be set up in hiding. In the firefight phase, when operatives set up in hiding are activated as normal. When you do, you can either expend that operative or have it emerge. If it emerges, set it up in the kill zone in a location that can be placed as long as it follows the following rules. And it's no longer set up in hiding. So it can be wholly within 6 inches of your drop zone, more than 6 inches from enemy operatives with an order of your choice. The operative is treated as performing the reposition action and spend the action points accordingly, then continue its activation as normal. If the operative is a warrior, ignore its group activation rule. Friendly operatives still in hiding at the end of the second turning point are incapacitated. So before, you spent a command point to do this, and you had 2 different operatives that basically weren't cult agents. So now you can effectively do a lot more with that, because especially if you're running 12 operatives, that's 4 operatives you can have in hiding, and they had to drop turning point 1. Now you can drop them turning point 2. So you have more flexibility having 4 operatives off the table. And especially if you go 14 operatives, that's potentially 5 operatives in hiding as well. But usually if it's 12, that's 4. So that's a bit more choice and some nice flexibility. Then you've got the cult agent rule. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly cult agent, ignore the piercing and saturate weapon rolls. And if you can retain any cover saves, you can retain 1 additional cover save or retain 1 cover save as a critical success instead. And it isn't cumulative with advantage. This is pretty much unchanged there. Then you've got cult ambush. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting or fighting during its activation, if its order was changed from conceal to engage at the start of that activation, or it wasn't visible to enemy operatives at the start of that activation, that friendly operative's weapons have the ceaseless weapon rule. So that's all unchanged. So that's very, very good for this kill team. For strategy ploys, you have the day is at hand. Whenever a friendly operative is activated, if its order is changed from concealed to engage, until the end of that activation, its ranged weapons have the rending weapon rule, and add 1 to the attack stats of its melee weapons to a maximum of 5. This is very, very good, and this will apply to your cult agents, so very good. Then you've got crossfire. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting at an operative that another friendly Wyrmblade operative has already shot at during this turn point, that first friendly operative's ranged weapons have the accurate 1 weapon rule. So if someone shoots at someone, when you next shoot at them, you now get accurate 1. It's effectively how it used to work, but a little bit better, although it doesn't persistently sack. So it's fine, but I don't know if you're always using it. It's better for your heavy gunners, but still nice. Then you've got 1 with the shadows. Whenever an operative is shooting at a friendly operative that has a conceal order, if light terrain is intervening, that friendly operative is obscured unless the intervening light terrain is within 1 inches of either operative. So that's pretty much unchanged. Very good there. A nice way to get obscuring, especially on Gal or Dark using Light Barricade, so very good. Then you've got Divert and Disappear. Up to 3 friendly Wyrmblade operatives can immediately perform a free dash or charge action in any order of your choice, choosing separately for each, and for the latter you cannot move more than 3 inches when you charge. If a Wyrmblade Cult agent operative is selected for this ploy, it counts as 2 operatives, and it can perform either a free fallback action instead, but it cannot move more than 3 inches if it does so, and then subtract 1 from the APL stat until the end of the next activation. So the interesting thing here is you can dash or charge, and then if it's a Cult agent, they can also fall back, but then they're -1 action point. So they have a bit of a trade-off for doing that, but it's very, very powerful. It's odd you can do this turning point 1, especially considering all other ploys that do this don't allow you to do this turning point 1, but it's fine. Like, it's still very, very good, and you may use it turning point 1 because, you know, that's effectively free repositions if you're not using a Cult agent. Like, it's extra mobility, and you can get a lot of usage out of this every turning point, so it's a very good ploy. For Firefight ploys, you have Slink into Darkness. Use this ploy at the end of a friendly Wyrmblade Operative's activation. If that operative has an Engage, you want to change it to Conceal. You cannot use this ploy for each friendly operative more than once per battle, so that's unchanged. It's very good. You just have to remember to not do it on the same operative more than once. Then you've got Coiled Serpent. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly operative is shooting or fighting after rolling your attack dice. If that friendly operative was changed from Conceal to Engage at the start of its activation, and it is the first time to perform either the fight or shoot action during that activation, you can retain one of your normal successes as a critical success instead. Note this ploy cannot come into effect more than once per activation, so you cannot use it during both the shoot and fight action during the same sequence. This is unchanged, still very, very good. Then you've got Unquestioning Loyalty. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly leader or Cult agent operative is selected as a valid target for a shoot or fight action. Select one other friendly neophyte operative, excluding leader, within 3 inches that is visible, and then that operative becomes the target for the shoot or fight. If it's a shoot, they still count as being in cover, and if it's a fight, they count as being in control range, and this has no effect on weapons with the blast or torrent. So this is get down, Mr. President. It's actually been buffed because it's now got a 3-inch range instead of a 2-inch range. Still very, very good, and you can use it on all your Cult agents. Then you've got a plan generations in the making. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly operative is incapacitated. That's a neophyte. It can perform a free mission action before it's removed from the kill zone. So this isn't great. This is more like, oh, I was on the point, I lose initiative, I die, I can do something else. It's a nice tech ploy to have, but you're probably not going to use it that much. When it comes to operatives, you have the Neophyte Leader, who is actually your leader, who has 2 APL, a 6-inch move, a 5-up save, and 8 wounds. This is the standard profile for your kill team. Everyone else has 7 wounds, your leader has 8. It can either have an auto gun, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 2-3, a bolt pistol, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 3-4 range 8, a mastercrafted auto pistol, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 2-4 range 8 lethal 5-up. Then you've got a shotgun, which is 4 tax hit on 2s 3-3 range 6, a web pistol, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 3-4 range 6 severe stun. Then you've got a chainsword, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 4-5, a gun butt, which is 3 attacks hit on force 2-3, a power maul, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 4-6 shock, and then the power pick, which is 4 tax hit on freeze 4-5 rending. So out of all of those weapons, I think I still love the Weber pistol, just because it's now doing a bit more damage and it has severe instead of lethal 5-up. So it's severe stun, so it's always, as long as you roll 1 hit, going to stun someone, which is a really good. And then you're probably, I don't know, the power maul is very tempting. The power pick has rending, but I think you get more usage out of the maul. And then you've got Shadow Vector. Once per turning point, you can use the Slink into Darkness or Coiled Serpent Firefight ploy for 0 CP if the specified friendly operative is a neophyte visible to this operative. So your leader's amazing, unchanged. Remember, it's neophyte, so not Cult agents, so you can't use it for free on Cult agents, but otherwise still unchanged, very good. Then you've got the Kelomorph, so it has the Cult agent profile, which is 3 APL, 6-inch move, 4-up save, and 9 wounds. They're also on 32mm bases. Your normal Wyrmblade Operative on 25. So it has Liberator auto stubs, which are hypersense long range and short range. For hypersense, it's 5 attacks hit on freeze, 3-4 range 6 saturate, seek light, hypersense. So hypersense is whenever this operative is shooting with this weapon profile, any operatives cannot be obscured, which is very, very nice. Then you've got the long range version, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/4 piercing, crits 1, rending. Then you've got the short range profile, which is 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4 piercing, 1, rending. And then Expert Gunslinger, this operative can perform 2 shoot actions during its activation, and it's got a Kelomorph Knife, which is 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/4 rending. And then you've got Heroic Inspiration. Whenever a friendly neophyte operative is visible and within 3 inches of this operative and is shooting, fighting, or retaliating, if this operative is incapacitated an enemy operative during the turning point, that friendly operative's ranged weapons, well, weapons in general, have severe, which is nice. That's effectively unchanged. So your Kelomorph has been slightly nerfed because it used to on 2s and now hits on 3s. Its long range profile used to on 3s, I think, but now it's on 4s. Still very, very good. Like, the Hypersense is still very nice, and you can just fire that twice if you get within 6 inches of someone. Very, very good, especially how it's just Seek Light and Saturate, so now they don't even get a cover save. Amazing. You're generally always taking the Kelomorph. Then you've got the Locust, who has a Barbed Tail, which is 4 attacks, hit on 3s, 3/4 range, 3 silent. Then Locust Blades, which are 5 attacks, hit on 3, 4/6, lethal 5 up. Used to hit on 2s, now hits on 3s. Then you've got Expert Swordsman. This operative can perform 2 fight actions during its activation. Whenever this operative ends the fight action, if it's no longer with the control ranges of enemy operatives, it can immediately perform a free charge action, even if it's already performed a charge action during the activation, but it cannot move more than 3 inches during the action. Doing so doesn't perform dash actions afterwards during the activation. So I believe you couldn't do the dash before, so this is very, very nice. Then you've got Bladed Stance. Whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, you can resolve 1 of your successes before the normal order. If you do, that success must be used to block. So effectively, if you are the attacker and you're fighting, you can block twice. So you can go block once, then block again. But if you're retaliating, you can block before the opponent. So still very, very good. Then you've got Quicksilver Strike. Once per turning point after an enemy operative performs an action in which it moves or is set up, you can immediately interrupt that activation, counteraction to use this rule. If you do so, this operative can immediately perform a free charge action, and you can change its orders to do so, but it cannot move more than 3 inches, and it must end that move within control range of the enemy operative. If this isn't possible, this interruption is cancelled, and this rule hasn't been used. This used to be an action point to set up, and now it doesn't interrupt the middle of an action, like mid-move. It's after your opponent's moved. So it's good for getting into combat, but no, just like, it's no longer a sudden roadblock like, oh, I'm going to charge. I suddenly move within your range in the open, you charge and block me. You can't really do that anymore. The Locust is still great because it can double fight, and you're probably still taking the Locust and Kelomorph in general, depending on the board, but it's still good. Then you've got the Neophyte Gunner, who can either take a Flamer, which is 4 attacks in on 2s, 3/3 range 8 saturate torrent 2, the Grenade Launcher Frag, which is 4 attacks in on 4s, 2/4 blast, 2 inches. Then you've got the Crack, 4 attacks in on 4s, 4/5 piercing 1, and the Webber, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3/4 range 12 inches, severe and stun. So the Webber's got more range. It's now got severe and stun. It's not as good as the Exaction Squad Webber, but it's still very, very nice. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Webber and Grenade Launcher, but you know, you now could basically take the Flamer as well because of its consistent damage. But I just think the Webber is so good along with the Grenade Launcher. Then you've got the Heavy Gunner, who has either the Heavy Stubber, which is focused, 5 attacks in on 4s, 4/5 heavy dash only. Then Sweeping, which is 4 attacks in on 4s, 4/5 heavy dash only torrent 1. So this has been buffed. It used to be 3/4, now it's 4/5. Then you've got the Mining Laser, which is 5 attacks, hit on 4s, 5/6 heavy dash only, piercing 1. Then you've got the Seismic Cannon Long Wave, which is 6 attacks, hit on 4s, 2/2 damage, blast 1, heavy dash only, stun. And then the Short Wave, which is 4 attacks, hit on 3s, 4/4 range 6, heavy dash only, piercing crits 1, and stun. So I do feel like the Seismic Cannon has been nerfed slightly. I'm a big fan of the Mining Laser. That's very good in general. And I could actually see you taking the Mining Laser and Heavy Stubber now because they're just more consistent. These operatives have been nerfed because they used to be able to have cumbersome so they could move 6 inches and shoot. Now because they dash, they can't abuse being in hiding, which is great. I think it was silly that they could before. So now they're a lot more balanced, but they also have the heavy weapon bipod rule. Whenever this operative is shooting with a weapon from its data card, if it hasn't moved during the activation or its counteraction, that weapon has the ceaseless weapon rule. If that weapon already has that weapon rule, i.e. from Cult Ambush Faction rule, it has the relentless special rule instead. Note that this operative isn't restricted from moving after. This is really powerful. So effectively the turn you switch from concealed to engage, you have relentless on all your guns. So now you can no longer reposition 6 inches and shoot or come from hiding and shoot, but you spend turning point 1 getting into position, then you switch to engage and effectively will either heavily maim someone or delete someone. And I think that's a fair trade-off getting Relentless considering how powerful and rare it is now in the game. Then you've got the Icon Bearer, who has an auto gun, which is 4 taxing on force 2-3, a shotgun, which is 4 taxing on freeze, 3-3 range 6, and then a gun battle, which is 3 taxing on force 2-3. It has the Icon Bearer rule, so whenever determining control of an objective marker, you count as 1 APL higher, isn't a modifier, and then overthrow the oppressors. Once per turning point, when a friendly Wyrmblade Neophyte operative is incapacitated while visible to and within 6 inches of this operative, you can use this rule. If you do so before that operative has moved from the kill zone, it can either perform 1 free shoot action, or you can use a plan generation in the making ploy for 0 CP if it's incapacitated and the operative is specified as a Neophyte operative. It's then removed from the kill zone as normal. So it's like the Brood Brother one, but more balanced. Like if this worked on cult agents, it would be broken. So I tolerate it here, but it's still very good. It's a nice buff to the icon. It did lose its aura of more rerolls, which is a shame, but I think Overthrow the Oppressors is better considering it's just a free action and will be always active. Then you've got the Sanctus Sniper, who has the sniper rifle, mobile profile, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-4, and then the stationary profile, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 3-3, devastating 3 heavy, dash only, silent, so permanent silent. Then it's got Fist, which are 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2-4. It's got the target vulnerability action for 1 action point. Until the end of this operative's activation, the stationary profile of its Sanctus Sniper Rifle has the lethal 5-up weapon rule. You cannot do while in control range of enemy operatives. Then you've got Soul Sight for 1 action point. Select 1 enemy operative visible to this operative until the end of the battle, or until this action is performed again by a friendly operative, whichever comes first. That enemy operative gains 1 of your Soul Sight tokens. When this operative is shooting that enemy operative, that has 1 of your Soul Sight tokens. All profiles of the sniper rifle have the saturate weapon rule, and that enemy operative cannot be obscured. So you can't do this while in control range. It's effectively similar, but it now, it would last for your action, like until you finish your activation. So this is nice to just permanent ignore obscuring, as well as saturate versus someone, because now you just make sure someone dies. But if you could somehow counteract later in the turning point, you wouldn't be obscured. So the sniper is still very, very good, especially if you can get into a good sniper vantage point. That's why it's probably good on Vocus, very good on Vocus, as well as maps where it can set up safely without being targeted. Then you've got the Talon, who has the Sanctus Biodagger, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-6, lethal 4-up shock. Interestingly, if you play your melee ploy, it goes up to 5 attacks. Then you've got Creeping Shadow, can perform a charge action while as a conceal order. Whenever this operative performs a fight action, it can immediately perform a free dash action or fallback action afterwards. For the latter, it cannot move more than 3 inches, even if it's performed an action that prevents it from doing those actions. So you could charge, kill someone, and then dash out of the way, which is very nice for free, right? Then you've got Familiar Soul Sight for 1 action point. Select 1 enemy operative visible to this operative until the end of the battle, until you perform this action again, whichever comes first. That enemy operative gains 1 of your Soul Sight tokens. When this operative is fighting or retaliating an enemy operative that has 1 of your Soul Sight tokens, its Sanctus Biodagger has the brutal and balanced weapon rules, which is very good. There is a weird, interesting thing that happens with this. If you take the Talon and the Sniper, because they both have the same action, if someone does the Soul Sight, it bounces to someone else. So you could have the Sniper shoot someone, then mark someone for then the Talon, and then vice versa. So you've got some nice synergy if you take both of those operatives together. But remember, if one of them keeps doing it, keeps hopping around the target, so it doesn't have 2 targets active at the same time. Then for 2 action points, you have Assassinate. Select 1 enemy operative this operative is invisible to. Perform a free charge action with this operative, but don't exceed its movement stat, i.e. don't add an additional 2 inches. And it must end that move within control range of that enemy operative. Then immediately perform a free fight action with this operative against that enemy operative. The first time you strike during the activation, you can immediately resolve another your success before your opponent strikes, so you can double tap someone, and you cannot perform it while you have an engage order or while within control range. So you basically pick someone that isn't visible to you, so you're not. It's a lot harder because you have to be outside of their visibility. And then if you charge them, for example, if you rolled 2 crits, you could immediately pump 12 damage into someone, which is very good. The Sanctus is still neat, but it can't double fight, but it's pretty good on dense boards, so you can probably get a lot of usage out of it on Focus. Then you've got your Warrior, who can either have an auto gun, a shotgun, and it comes with a gun butt. They have the group activation rule, so when you activate a Neophyte Warrior, you can activate another, so you can activate maximum 2 at a time. They're unchanged, and You know, when you drop from hiding, they actually increase your activation count because they lose their group activation 2 ability, which is nice. So for faction equipment, you have blasting charges. So once per turning point, a friendly operative can perform the following range attack. 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3/5, range 4 inches, blast 1, saturate. So it used to be 6-inch range, used to obviously have seek, but it's okay. Like it's fine. It's weird they get access to this every turning point, but it's okay. Then you've got Cult Knives. Every friendly neophyte operatives have the following melee weapon. Cult Knife, which is 3 attacks hitting on 4s, 3/4. This is very good because it now goes on everyone. Then Explosive Traps. This equipment allows you to select 2 mines. See the universal equipment. You cannot also select that equipment as a normals to give you 3. And friendly Wyrmblade operatives are ignored for your own mine's effects, i.e. they can't trigger them themselves. This takes precedence over normal mines. I think you always take this because you don't trigger them. So you can put the mines on your objectives and happily stand there, which is pretty crazy. I think you should have only gotten 1, and then you could say like you can spend an additional equipment point to get 2. I think getting 2 for 1 is way too powerful because the normal mines don't do that. But it's still very good. Then you've got Spotlights. When a friendly Wyrmblade operative is shooting, the target cannot be obscured if it's visible and within 6 inches of a friendly operative. That's a neophyte that isn't within control range of enemy operatives. This is actually fairly useful, especially with all your ranged operatives, because as long as a neophyte is within range, it even applies to your cult agents. So I think on very dense boards like Vocus, Spotlights are pretty good. I mean, I think you're always taking Spotlights and Cult Knives, and then you're umming and ahhing between blasting charges and explosive traps. I think you probably can get away with not buying blasting charges unless you're on Gallowdark, and then focus on like maybe 2 crack grenades because you would get a lot of usage out of that with them being ceaseless when you switch from conceal to engage. So for Operative Selection, this is very weird because this kill team is incredibly expensive to get because it's not a dedicated original kill team. You have to buy effectively 1.5 neophyte boxes, and then you have to buy each individual cult agent. I did. It was incredibly expensive, and it is going to be expensive. For your Wyrmblade Neophyte leader, I would personally always go with the Weber pistol and then Power Pick, but the Power Maul is a good choice as well. Then I would always take the gunner with the Weber and grenade launcher personally, and then the heavy gunner now with the heavy stubber and with the mining laser, because the seismic cannon is a bit worse. Then I would always take the icon bearer with the shotgun, and then 4 warriors with shotguns as well, because the auto guns aren't that great. And then usually I would take the Kellamorph and the Locust, but if I'm on a dense board like Vulcus, I may drop the Kellamorph for the sniper or take the sniper and the Kellamorph. But I really like the Locust. There's some teams where the Locust isn't that great on, like especially into elites. He's not as good anymore, and you would in that case usually get more usage out of the Kellamorph and the Sanctus Sniper. The Talon used to have a niche when it was really good at killing Marines when they were 12 wounds, but now every Marine is 14 wounds. He's not as good, and because he can't double fight, he's still decent. But generally, if you were looking to buy this kill team, you buy 1 box of Neophytes, eBay some more so you can build all gunner options, and maybe, give operatives auto guns as well. And then I would definitely buy the Kellamorph and Locust, and then if you wanted to, also buy the Sniper. But you can get a long way with just the Kellamorph and the Locust. But if you want proper success and flexibility, you need the Sniper as well, and if you can, the Talon. But this team is incredibly expensive to get, which is why I was kind of hoping the White Dwarf teams would get removed, because they are very, very expensive and not a great way to get into the game. Like if you are a returning Genestealer Cult player, you have all of this. This is fine. But if you're new to the game, I'd probably say play Brood Brothers, because they're, they will have at least like 3 years on the classified list. This team only has 1 year. And if you're fine with them being classified for 1 year and spending a lot of money for that, that's fine. Something you just need to keep in mind. They were already very strong before. They have been nerfed because now their heavy gunners can go into hiding, but then can't really shoot the turn they calm down because they count as having repositioned. And all their guns are heavy dash. So that's a nerf for them. But you can put them in hiding to get into position turning point 1 where they couldn't normally, which is pretty good. Although that you can just reposition and dash into places you want it to be. I don't think it's that great. I would always, because your roster list is going to have usually 4 warriors, which will now give you 4 extra activations turning point 1, which is, and potentially 2. You know, you've got a lot of ways to stall out the opponent now. Your opponent now does have to get close to you, and then if they get too close to you, then you can punish them, but you no longer can't just like drop in their faces and delete them. But because of how powerful, you know, when you start your activation and you come from hiding, if you come out with cracks, your cracks get ceaseless, which is very nice. So you may always take like 2 crack grenades with this kill team. They still struggle into elites, but not as much as they did. Like if on Vocus, if you can get the tallest vantage point and you can put your Sanctus Sniper there, you'll kind of just dominate the game because of how powerful that is and how no one can really deal with it. And they will still do very well into Horde and like elite teams as well. I think you're always going infiltration, probably going like surveillance, which makes sense. But because of your co-agents usually being able to shoot or fight twice, you can actually get a lot out of champion. So like having a champion Calamorph and then falling back to the Locust and then switching between who can do what. You are still very, very accurate with ceaseless everywhere, and your heavy gunners do get relentless when they switch from conceal to engage. So they're still really powerful. They're just very tricksy, and the biggest thing is you need to remember the terminology. Like, you know, you can only switch from engage to conceal once per operative as a strategic ploy, and then it can be free from your leader. But if your leader does it, it only affects neophyte. It doesn't affect your co-agents. So you just have to keep in mind how the keywords interact, because it's just there's a lot of moving parts, and a lot of people unintentionally make a lot of mistakes with Wyrmblade because of how their keyword interactions work. So they are a very complex team, but I think still very, very powerful. And like against an elite player making mistakes, this team will capitalize on it and delete them. It's very, very good. So I know some people are upset how they are. I think they're still incredibly good. I would say they're actually better, especially as you can come from hiding turning point 2. Very good at doing the missions. You did lose the free mission action if you were concealed, so they have to play a bit more honestly, and you don't have a comms, but you have 2 co-agents that are free APL each. So I think you get around that pretty fair. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. What do you think of the new updated Wyrmblade rules for 3rd edition? I'll be interested to hear. Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Supercow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatworld, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Drakan, Dave Meatsworld, Darcy, Dad of Goldens, Chris, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja, Ryan, who has a tournament on the 9th of November in London, and Mark. So thank you all so much for all your support. It really helps a lot and helps support the channel. But yeah, you know, we're getting through the Wyrmblade, well, the White Dwarf Day, I would like to call it. We've got Warp Coven coming up shortly after. But yeah, Wyrmblade are very, very good. I have the full kill team. They are just very tricksy, and I think you're going to see more usage maybe out of Brood Brothers, but Brood Brothers are also toned down a lot. I think this kill team will still catch people out, but I'm very tempted to play more games with them and see how actually they struggle into the elite matchup, because I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's not a great matchup, but I still think they have a lot of play. But remember, no matter how many Genestealer Cult uprisings you're fighting against, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.